Good evening. I'd like to call the February 24th, 2025 Borough Council meeting to order. Will the clerk please read the open public meeting statement?
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required under Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, specifying the time, date, and location by posting a copy of the notice on the municipal building, municipal website, providing a copy of the annual notice to the official newspapers of the borough, and is on file in the clerk's office.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Here.
Councilman Collins.
Here.
Councilman Manco.
Here.
Councilwoman Payne.
Here.
Councilman Poznansky.
Here.
Councilman Potter.
Here.
Mayor Murray.
Present.
Borough Attorney Peter Vignolo.
Present.
Borough Engineer Mike McClellan.
Present.
Borough Engineer Lou Plaskanka.
Present.
Borough Administrator, not here. Borough Clerk Monica Orlando, present.
Okay, will everyone please stand for a moment of silence, which will be followed by a salute of the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now is the time for public comment limited to the resolutions on the agenda only. If you wish to speak, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Again, this is the public portion is limited to the comments on the resolutions listed on the agenda at this time. There'll be a 5-minute time limit set forth by the rules of council. If someone raises their hand, please come up to the microphone and state your name for the record.
Charles Ariniak, 322 South Main Street. The approving place-to-place liquor license transfer. Are we making more or issuing more liquor licenses, or is this for existing liquor licenses?
Would you like me to answer that?
The clerk has the information.
Okay, so by state statute, we can't issue any more. This is a transfer, a place-to-place transfer. It says in their extension of premises. The owner is just making the space a little bit bigger. So when you do that, you do have to apply for a place-to-place transfer.
Okay, thank you. With resolution 2025123, establishing subcommittee for borough maintenance, development, use of Sprendam Homestead. I'm glad this is on here. That definitely needs to be done and preserved. I am curious where the subcommittee to assist the borough in the maintenance, development, and use of the firehouses is, because the mayor brought that up at a previous meeting along with this one, and I was interested in doing that one, but it's not on here. I was just wondering if there's going to be a subcommittee for that.
We're still discussing that, whether that needs to be a subcommittee or not.
Okay. All right, because I did have a petition with 1,589 signatures signaling that the firehouses should be saved and preserved. So I can print that out again. So
Digitally?
what?
Can you send it digitally?
I'm sure I can.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So
Thank you, Dave.
all right, thank you.
Seeing no further comments, I'll close public comment portion of the meeting. We have a couple of ordinances to introduce. This is ordinance introduction, first reading. This is an introduction of ordinance 25-1556. There'll be no public input on this ordinance tonight. This is introductory summary will be published as required by law, and a second reading, public hearing, and final adoption would be considered on March 10th, 2025. Full copies of the ordinance will be posted on the borough website, on the bulletin board, at the municipal building, and available at no cost in the office of the municipal clerk between the hours of 8:30 and 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Will the clerk please read ordinance 25-1556 by title?
Ordinance to amend Chapter 4, General Licensing and Business Regulations, Section 4-38, Records of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of Milltown, subsection 4-38.12, Service Rates.
May I have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 25-1556, please?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Potter, seconded by Council President Zambrana. Is there any comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Is this, I don't know who put this forward? Is it public safety or is it?
Yeah, Councilman Collins, this was a request at the end of last year from Public Safety. The chief worked with your Public Safety Committee regarding it and then sent it over to me to take a look at the, I guess, the fees charged by surrounding communities. And it is consistent, and frankly, the rates haven't been increased in a number of years. So this will allow your towing companies to get a number that's fair, given the fact that everything else in the world has gone up in cost.
Okay. I was just wondering, if this is in line with insurance payments too, so that the people don't get, I don't know if that counts or not, so they don't get stuck for.
I don't know that
no
anybody
idea.
did that analysis.
Okay.
They did an analysis
But
of
it's
whether
in
or
line
not
with
it
the
was-
other towns. That's
Yeah,
what we want.
whether it
Okay.
was consistent with the market.
Thanks. Thanks, Peter.
You got it.
All right, seeing no more, will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Menko.
Aye.
Councilwoman Payne.
Aye.
Councilman Poznanski.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
This is an introduction to ordinance 25-1557. There will be no public input on this ordinance tonight. This is an introduction summary and will be published as required by law in a second reading, public hearing, and final adoption will be considered on March 10th, 2025. Full copies of the ordinance will be posted in the Borough website, on the bulletin board at the municipal building, and available at no cost in the in the office of the municipal clerk between the hours of 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Will the clerk please read ordinance 25-1557 by title?
Ordinance amending Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-20, stop intersections, to install stop signs on Pardon Avenue at its intersection with Northbrook Drive and its intersection with Carney Drive? Carney Drive. Aye. That.
May I have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 25-1557, please?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Collins, seconded by Councilman Poznanski. Is there any comments?
Yes, Peter, I don't believe this came from the Public Safety Committee. Can you let us know how this came about?
So it did not come from the Public Safety Committee. This was actually, if I can hand it off to Mr. Plaskanka, it came from his office, I believe after some interaction with the NJDOT.
Yeah, so as you know, Northbrook Drive is being done with a grant through the DOT Local Aid Program. As a requirement of that funding, all the traffic control devices need to be supported by ordinance. So we found that these two intersections, the stop control was not supported by ordinance, so this would formalize that.
Excellent, thank you.
Seeing no more, will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Menko.
Aye.
Councilwoman Payne.
Aye.
Councilman Poznanski.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Authorizing payment of municipal obligations. Next on the agenda, we have authorizing payment of municipal obligations. Will the clerk please read Resolution 2025-113 by title?
Yes, I just wanted to also say for those two ordinances, the public hearing and final adoption will be held on March 10th, 2025 meeting. Resolution 2025-113, authorizing the payment of bills, claims, and statements against the Borough of Milltown in the total amount of $3,333,846.38.
You have heard the reading in this resolution. Are there any questions?
Yes. I'm going to address them to Council President. One thing I see, as far as the attorney's fees, they seem a little high this month. I wonder if you can explain. I see over $30,000 in attorney's fees.
So lots of these attorney fees have to do with personnel-related matters, and because of the privacy of that, I'm not going to get into personnel-related matters in an open public meeting.
Okay. All right. And other questions, only because I don't know and I need to ask. I see green, it's 25-00277, green space self-storage for two units. $9,454.25. Can you tell me what that is?
That is the property over on Riders Lane, that from what I understand, if I may, Mr. McClone, that is going to be actually a thing soon, from what I understand.
Yes, there's an active application that the planning board was approved some time ago. They're trying to meet their conditions of approval. what that's going to be is a 4 or 5 or 6-story stored building.
6-story.
Yeah. So that, and this was approved by the planning board. And what they're doing is they're moving through the demolition process also with the construction.
Did we see those 3 houses?
Right.
Those 2 houses between Wendy's and the pizza place? That area right there.
So 6 stories, is that something new here? Did they have to change the
No,
ordinance?
it was approved by the planning board probably 2 years ago.
Okay.
Michael, Mike, it was before that, I don't think it's 6 stories, though. It may be 3, 3.5. I was on the planning board at the time. So it was in line with our current ordinance.
There was no height ordinance.
Yeah.
It's along Riders Lane.
Okay.
That would be from what, like where the old 7-Eleven was, all the way to the corner up there by Rita's?
That's right.
I think it's
Yeah,
well, it's between Blueberry Drive, I believe, and P&V Plaza.
P&B Plaza, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, may I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Potter, seconded by Council President Zambrana. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Manco.
Aye.
Councilwoman Payne.
Aye.
Councilman Poznanski.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
A consent resolution has been prepared for resolutions listed on the agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and having been reviewed by Borough Council will be enacted on by in one motion. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any council member, and if so removed, will be treated on as a separate matter. Any items requiring expenditures are supported by a certification of funds. If any member of council wants any resolutions acted on individually, please give me the resolution number and I will pull it from the consent resolution.
Yes, could you pull 2025124?
I'd like to pull 2025, 123,
Did you say 1, 2, 3?
123. I'd like to make a statement if I can when I have the time.
After, when
Okay,
we
yeah.
do each resolution,
Yeah.
you can.
Is that it? Okay. Will the clerk please read the consent agenda resolution minus 123 and 124?
Whereas pursuant to the rules of council, the council may establish a consent agenda for any regular or special meetings upon certain conditions, and whereas each of the following resolutions to be presented before the Borough Council at its February 24th, 2025 meeting appear to have the unanimous approval of all members of the Borough Council, 2025-115 through 2025-122. Now therefore be it resolved by the Borough Council of the Borough of Milltown that each of the above listed resolutions be approved and adopted by the Borough Council with the same legal effect as though each was read in its entirety at the February 24th, 2025 meeting and adopted by separate vote.
You have heard the reading of the consent resolution. What's your pleasure?
I make a motion that these resolutions be adopted.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Potter, seconded by Council President Zambrana. Will the clerk please, I'm sorry, is there any comments?
Yes.
No, that's for when we speak about the pulled ones, not this one. This is
Not the
consent
consent
agenda only.
resolution.
Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Manco.
Aye.
Councilwoman Payne.
Aye.
Councilman Poznanski.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Will the clerk please read Resolution 2025-123 by title?
Establishing a subcommittee to assist the borough in the maintenance, development, and use of the Schwendeman homestead.
What's the pleasure of council?
Thanks, Mike.
We need a motion and a second first,
Need a
then you can
motion and a
discuss
second.
it.
Move the resolution be adopted.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Collins, seconded by Councilman Potter. Is there any comments?
For 123, yes. I'm going to start here. I have a question for our attorney, Mr. Vignola. Why is the word homestead used in this? Because I'm a history person like you are, and I'd like to know why it's called a homestead.
Because that's how it was posited to me when I was asked to prepare the resolution.
But if I look up the definition of homestead, it means something quite different than what is over there.
I don't know that I was really paying so much attention to what we were calling it.
But is there a special purpose for it to be called a homestead? Because every house is a home, but not every home is a homestead, and that's why I'm asking that question.
No. No, it was just, I believe, a word that was chosen by the individual who asked me to prepare the resolution.
Okay.
I don't know that it had any special meaning. I think it was indicative of the fact that it was a special property within the borough.
Okay. I'm going to start now. This is in relating to the project, which will, at some points, be using taxpayer money. So I'm going to start here. The water rates have jumped 90% this year, which I think people are aware of, drastically impacting our citizens. Municipal taxes had a significant rise last year and will necessarily rise again this year. The electric rates will drastically rise this year. We're looking for ways to lessen the pain for the future, yet it will not help us this year. The Board of Education receives 68% of your tax dollars, over $18 million, almost $2 million in busing. Milltown's budget of approximately 20% covers everything else in the borough, from DPW, clerical staff, the police department, fire department, rescue squad needs. We pay out the borough professionals' expenses, outstanding amounts of bills, expected and unexpected. We cover insurance payments, pensions, and emergencies as they arise. We cannot fully staff most departments. We can barely cover their needs lists, and the want lists do not get fulfilled. We've lost over 20 highly qualified people this year, unreplaceable, and this cannot continue. We also have a property owner who disrespects and thumbs his nose at you. The Milltown taxpayers. He and his associates owe over $6 million in taxes that are overburdening Milltown. You and I are paying for it. When you pass by the former Michelin plant and the rubble, that is left, along with unabated contamination. Let it make you angry. This is your town. I just detailed for you, taxpayers and citizens, why we should not be taking your tax dollars for the sake of a few small special interest groups. The special interest group that matters primarily here are the other 7,000 forgotten men, women, and children who believe they have no voice. And they do have a voice. Thank you.
Any more comments? No? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Manco.
Aye.
Councilwoman Payne.
Aye.
Councilman Poznanski.
No.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Will the clerk please read Resolution 2025-124 by title, please?
Authorizing the hiring of a computer IT consultant vendor through the competitive contracting process.
What's the pleasure of council?
Move the resolution be adopted.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Collins, seconded by Councilman Potter. Is there any comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm a little concerned. It doesn't detail, what this company's going to do. Is this the one that we got with TK, what was it, TK1 or?
So our current IT vendor has been without a contract since January 2024. We have to go out to bid, and so this is just the bid process. This is not awarding it to anybody, anything else like that. So in order to go out to bid, you have to authorize it.
Okay.
Now that we have a QPA, he has prepared the bid. So once this is authorized, it'll be advertised. Our current IT provider is able to put in for it. It's just something that,
We have to
as
do.
a professional service, we should be going out to
So
bid.
there'll be more details later on.
Yes, I actually just got what the bid looks like today. I had a Zoom call with the QPA earlier today, the CFO, the BA, and I, and the QPA to have a little meet and greet and talk about things. So he did send it over, so I can forward that to everybody, so that way you know what's going out.
Okay, thanks, Monica.
Absolutely.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Zambrana.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Manco.
Aye.
Councilwoman Payne.
Aye.
Councilman Poznanski.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Okay, reports from elected officials. Council President Zambrana.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only report I have tonight is that last Thursday, we finished our first round of budget meetings with all the departments. As we head into this week, this coming Thursday, we will be meeting with the Finance Committee, our CFO, our BA, to go through round 2 with the, again, the intention of presenting a budget at the second meeting in March and adopting a budget at the second meeting in April. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilman Collins?
I have just the library notes here. February 25th, drop-in play at 10:30 a.m. Tuesday, February 25th, library book club, 6 p.m. Wednesday, February 26th, 2 p.m. Movie My Darling Clementine. Thursday, February 27th, after-school game on at 3 p.m. Monday, March 3rd, adult yoga at 9:15 a.m. Please register. Monday, March 3rd, stuffed animal sleepover and pizza party for children's K through 3, grade registration required. Children in K through 3 grades, registration required. Wednesday, March 5th, 2 p.m., movie to be announced. Thursday, March 6th, after-school craft, book mark craft at 3 p.m. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Manco?
So I met with Dorian regarding the green team and trying to set up some perspective things to do for this year. The green team is looking for volunteers, and their mission statement, just standard notes. They educate as well as practice and perform upgrades to certain places all around town and all around the county, in truth. That is pretty much the end of our report for tonight.
Thank you. Councilwoman Payne?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In my role as the liaison to the Board of Ed, I attended a meeting on February 12th on behalf of the Milltown Board of Education, and it was one of the district discussion series that the superintendent presented. And in attendance at that meeting was Stephanie Brown, also with the Dean of Students, the Principal Secretary, Board of Ed members, as well as Community Relations Committee members. Stephanie discussed residency and enrollment and looked at the issues regarding establishing residency, residency verification, homelessness, school choice, and registration process. It was a lively discussion. I learned a lot, and I think these meetings are really, really critical and crucial, and I encourage others to attend and to become involved in these discussions. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilman Ponzanski?
Sure. Unfortunately, I have a lot to report, so don't hold your breath. It's the first, I'm going to start with the Historic Preservation Report. The committee meeting commenced at 7:36 p.m. via Zoom. Randy Ruth was elected as chair, Barbara Wright as co-chair, Liz Marquez as the secretary. The committee's proposal for a timeline for Green Acres funding has not received a response from the county. Their proposal was sent to Commissioner Rios in November after the election. We seem to be competing with the county regarding Green Acre grants. We're happy to report that the MHS received a grant for marketing the train project. Printing and mailing costs of the pamphlet that John Wolin created will be covered. A grant to continue the archiving project at the museum was also received. The warped wooden panel on the museum annex is still not repaired. Purchasing a replacement board was discussed. The committee will host, or the committee actually hosted, Division of History and Historic Preservation for roundtable discussion at the Senior Center Saturday, February 8th. It was from 10 to 12:30, and there will be another meeting March 8th from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. They will also participate in History Day at East Jersey Old Town Village, May 17th, at from 10 to 4. It's a great event. If you've never been, it's very interesting. The county is interested in expanding access to GSI data. A service agreement proposal was sent to Monica and to Fred Carr. The status of the proposal is unknown. We continue to discuss criteria for determination of historic sites within the borough, including but not limited to the age of the structure, the architectural nature of the structure, and the historic significance of the structure. Those criteria would be an element of the Preservation Master Plan, which would allow for the creation of a list of historic sites within the borough. The meeting was adjourned at 8:53 p.m. The next meeting will be this Thursday, February 27th, via Zoom. Now to the Senior Center. I've been working with Debbie Cuddy and Ralph Jasnowski from DPW to address the needs at the Senior Center, such as, but not limited to, the new windows, a shed, etc. The seniors do not ask for much. Other groups do, but I do not want the seniors to be ignored. They're very concerned about the smart meters, which I've been studying. They're also worried about the water rates, the taxes, and upcoming electric rates. I speak to them at their monthly meetings about all these related items. As for the DPW, they've been doing their stellar work as usual. Last week, another small snowfall, icing conditions. The men were called in early, did their jobs to make Milltown as safe as possible. This past Saturday, another water main break, Ian and John doing the repairs in the hole, and Tom digging the trench. They deserve the recognition I give them. Also, by the way, some people drop off candy and cookies for the guys. Take this as a hint. Milltown, we are fortunate to have these men. They really do care. And also, thank you, Beth, for putting out the alerts. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Potter?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Highlights and updates from the Milltown Recreation Department. We're halfway through the youth basketball season, and the kids are having a great time with their friends while learning from our excellent coaches. The season will conclude on March 22nd. There are a few days left to get your tickets for Milltown Night with the New Jersey Devils. The game is on Monday, March 24th. Please visit Community Pass to purchase tickets and contact the Recreation Office with any questions. Registration for the Winter Soccer Clinic closes on Saturday, March 1st. This 4-week program will be at the Parkview Gym. Registrations for our adult and youth programs will begin on Friday, February 28th. We began accepting seasonal employment applications this week with a deadline of April 1st. All applicants must be 15 years old as of June 1st to work the gate guard or teen counselor and 16 years old to become a lifeguard. 9 children have signed up for our new and thriving chess program, which started on February 10th and runs until March 17th. The Winter Musical Theater program is well underway with the final performance of High School Musical scheduled for Tuesday, March 25th at Joyce Kilmer School. We've begun planning for the spring, and the new musical theater program will be Annie. Classes will begin on April 22nd with the final performance on June 10th. Registration will open within a week. And finally, we had a productive Recreation Advisory Committee meeting on February 20th. From the Planning Board, our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, March 5th. And from the Milltown 4th of July organization, join us for a Dine to Donate event at DuSal's in Milltown this Wednesday and Thursday. A percentage of the proceeds will go toward this year's 4th of July event. And the annual Celebrity Bartender event is happening on Saturday, March 22nd at the American Legion. Tickets are now available for purchase at the following locations: Bagel Express, Mike's Country Market, Maria's, Milltown Convenience, Kelly and Company, and Rescued by Lacey. And Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Reports from Borough professionals. Borough Attorney Peter Vignola.
No report tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Borough Engineer, CME, Lou or Mike?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First thing we'd like to report on is the water meter project. We had a status meeting today with the contractor. They've indicated they're continuing to work in billing cycles 1, 2, and 6. Thus far, they've completed 161 meter replacements, 29 of which they're going through their final validation process. 2 replacements are incomplete due to inoperable valve issues. 372 replacements are currently scheduled, and that leaves 2,076 replacements that are yet to be scheduled. Finally, on that matter, the training for the installation portal is going to be scheduled sometime in the first or second week of March. Jumping to the Foch Avenue improvements, the field survey work has been completed, and the base mapping is being prepared based on those field surveys. And as we reported last meeting, once that's done, we will request a meeting with committee to go over the improvements. And lastly, the green space project was talked about earlier in the meeting. We understand that they're going through the demolition permit process in the borough. The work on that is going to start with the utility disconnects for the homes, and they're trying to schedule that this week, we understand, through the construction office. And that's all we have tonight.
Thank you. Do you want to talk about the map?
Yeah, we prepared a map of the billing cycles. I think we've forwarded that out to everyone to take a look at. We're going to share that with the contractor so they can use that in guiding their replacements through the various cycles. So we do have to do a couple edits on that. We want to add some street names and things to it to finish it off.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Lou, I just want to add, I was one of the 161 residents that got my water meter replaced on Friday. I have to tell you, it was a great experience. I got a text message the night before saying that the time that they were coming, right before the person was coming, I got a text message with actually a picture of the person. So I greeted Nick at the door, showed him where it was. I was in a meeting at the time, and he was in and out of my house in 8 minutes. They're in-house for a little bit, and then they go outside of your house to put something on your meter or something on the side of your house. 20 minutes, they were done. So I just want to tell you, it was very successful, and I just wanted to thank you for that.
Great to hear.
Yeah, and I like to echo those same comments. I was right before Councilman Potter in my water replacement, and it was a great experience. So the messaging was like spot on, and the young man was a pleasure, and in and out in 3 minutes, I think.
Yeah, great.
Yes, I'd like to say too that one of my neighbors said that it was a good experience to get it done. It wasn't any problems at all, and he was very happy with it, so.
Council President, did you have a comment?
Oh, sorry. Lou, to the Riders Lane project, the green space,
Yes.
any idea when, demolition is going to start and then that project will start? I hear July, but I'm not sure about that.
So we understand that they want to do these disconnects this Thursday.
Oh, okay.
The demolition sometime in March. They're shooting for starting as soon as they can on the actual facility. However, they do have some compliance issues with their planning board approval they need to address, so
Okay.
that's still ongoing. So
Okay.
that's going to guide when they can start that.
Thank you.
Okay, Borough Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start by saying I'm sure a few of you are surprised to see me here after I announced my resignation at the last meeting. Last week, I was appointed as a part-time clerk while the borough continues to search for my replacement. I'm very happy to still be here serving everybody, so make sure you come and visit. We are conducting interviews for the deputy clerk, clerk one, and borough clerk position. If you're interested or know anybody who might be interested in the position, have them send their application and resume to milltownjobs@milltownborough.com. As far as my hours, I will be working mostly remote. I will have my office staffed by a secretary handling phone calls in the window. I will have office hours at least one night a week. I plan on posting those hours on the window at the clerk's office, and it'll also be in my auto response in my email. If for some reason those hours don't work for you, you need a different day or a different time, email me, and I will do my best to accommodate everybody so they can get what they need done. Let's see, what else here? We had our blood drive on February 11th. It was a great success, a steady flow of people in all day, so thank you to everybody who came and donated. We really appreciate it. As of today, we have licensed 281 dogs and 7 cats. As a reminder, you must license your animal annually by January 31st. Starting February 1st, there's a $5 late fee, and the first of every month, there's another $5 added on. So if you come to me or to my office after March 1st, then you will be paying a $10 late fee. Election day, starting preparation for that. The primary election is Tuesday, June 10th this year. So a couple deadlines for you to know. March 24th at 4 p.m. is the deadline for you to file a petition to be on the primary. April 16th is the deadline for voters to file a change of party affiliation. May 20th is the deadline to register to vote if you've never registered before. June 3rd is the deadline to apply for a mail-in ballot. If you're not able to be here the day of the election, you can apply for a mail-in ballot. All of these forms are available here at Borough Hall on the wall across from my office. They're also available online on the Borough website, clerk's page, election. Early voting will be held June 6th through June 8th. We don't have a location here, but if you go to my clerk's page, I list all the locations. You can vote anywhere within Middlesex County, early voting. And as I said before, Tuesday, June 10th is the primary election. Voting will be from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Does any member of council have any old business to bring before council? No? I just had one, Mr. Riniak brought up a point about the firehouse subcommittee, so I just wanted to have just a brief conversation about that. So I did request that Mr. Vignolo create the resolution, because just the need of figuring a direction of where the two firehouses are going. And I just was curious if any council member had any comments as to why we couldn't move that forward, because this is something that's been stagnant for quite some time now, and I was trying to get some movement on it just to figure out what we can do with those two firehouses. So, it's just a comment, that's all. Like to close old business. Does any member of council have any new business to bring before council? No? I had one quick one. I had emailed a couple of proposals out, one from the primary engineer, CME, one from the secondary engineer, H2M, about the Southbrook Drive flooding. Just hopefully we can get some movement on that, because that's been flooding for quite some time, number of years, just so those residents can see some alleviation from the flood every time we get some rain. So just hopefully that will start moving forward soon. I would like to close new business. Open to the public. The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to council's attention their concerns or comments. The council will respect the public's time by refraining from any comment until the speaker has finished. It should be further noted that the public comment portion of our meeting is not structured as a question and answer session. Please state your name and address for the record when you come to the podium. Just as a reminder, under the rules of council, individuals wishing to speak during the public input portion of the meeting is limited to 5 minutes, and may, after other speakers have finished, may be allowed to speak for a second 5-minute period. Does anybody have any?
I know there's a lot of concerns with the prices of our water and electric going up.
Name and address.
I'm sorry. Charles Renick, 322 South Main Street. I know there's a lot of worry about the prices of our utilities. I just want to let you know that my wife applied for some help through the state. It's not necessarily available to everybody. It's more low-income help. One of the websites to go to was www.energyhelp.us, and there's another one called NJ Shares, which was www.njshares.org, and they can help with people who might need help with paying their utilities. My wife and I got $200 to go towards our electric and $400 to go to our water and sewer. I think that's annually, so I don't know if it's all taken off in one bill or if they spread it out, but it's a program worth looking into for those who might need help. So that's all I have. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing. March 8th, I hope everybody likes spaghetti, because at the American Legion, Boy Scout Troop 33 will be having their annual spaghetti dinner. So please come on out and support the Boy Scouts. Thank you.
Steve Nowicki, 83 First Street. I was here in November, and I'm confused about the water bill, because when I went to that meeting, I heard that it was going to be a one-time 90% or $150 one-shot deal, and that the rates would have to be settled upon before the end of the year for the new rates to take effect. So is this 90%, this is something that we're going to live with now? It's done?
If I may, so I'm on the water utility, so I'm a little, but we all are. So the intention was, when that was first brought on, was to close a gap that was created in that earlier. Now, there was a presentation of a new water rate that didn't pass in roughly September, I'll say. And with that, that other bill continued. When it did pass, finally, the new water rate was created in December and passed. It basically, just the way the town is billed, it starts in the next billing term. So the new rates that were passed in December will start on April 1st, I believe, April 4th, one of those days. Because it is, you're still in the billing cycle. When it passed in December, that billing cycle is still in process. And then the continuing of the rest of the town that is still in that billing cycle, till that billing cycle closes. So that's why, but it will be adjusted to the new rate that was passed in December, which is less than what that is.
We were told in the meeting last week that there'll be 2 more billing cycles at the $150 range, and then it will drop off, and that will be it, satisfied for now?
So by April.
Yes, your new billing will kick in April 4th, as I was told. That's
It
what I
was
was
for
told.
consumption as of January 1st. So the new rates went into effect on January 1st, but it's for consumption as of January 1st because you bill for consumption. So one quarter of the borough is billed, I guess, each month. So it's January, February, March is the consumption. Will start in April. So April 1st billing will be when that new rate goes in.
Okay, and,
That's not how it was explained to us.
yeah,
Well, as I have it directly from the real billing department, we bill the town in quarterly cycles. After the entire town has been billed for the second quarter, the new rates will take effect. So the billing for the new rates will commence on April 1st. So because some people, I guess, were still in that quarter, because it's not all done in one shot. So all that billing has to catch up.
so if they started to get billed in December, that January 1st of the new rate, that doesn't apply to them?
That is correct. Your new rate will be starting in April.
It's kind of confusing.
No, it starts January 1st, but you get billed for it in April.
Oh, yes, your first bill under the new rate will be April 1st.
So the bill that you just saw is still is for consumption prior to January 1st.
Okay, so whatever in December was that old rate, but then from January 1st to when you get your bill, so it's going to be put
That
together.
consumption will be billed at the new rate, which starts getting billed out in April.
And then all the tiers have been lowered?
That much I don't know, I just know the billing, that's their.
I don't have it in front of me, but there was a change to the tiers, and there definitely was on the first tier, that was
I think
reduced back down,
From
similar to.
7,500, I think, to 5,500.
Correct, that does sound,
Okay.
yes.
That's the only one I know about. I don't know what the next one is.
I mean, if you have an email address, I can get you a copy of it, just so you know. I don't have it in front of me tonight.
The ordinance, is that what you're looking for?
Well, I guess the structure of, the ordinance and the structure of
I can print off a
it.
copy, if you want to wait after the meeting, I can get you a copy of it.
Okay, I can pick it up tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fine.
I guess that's it. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alicia Tompkins. My address is 42 Riva Ave. So I did some research online, and I saw that New Brunswick, they went up on some things, and I'm thinking perhaps this is why our water rates run up. $450,000 allocated for water and sewer. $800,000 put aside for other water expenses. Out of that, capital outlay of $50,000 with no clear explanation of where is the $50,000 going to in regards of the water issue here in Milltown. We are getting notices constantly that we need to boil our water. Some of those notices came late. So my question to the council is, out of all this money that we are now putting forth towards New Brunswick, again, $450,000, another $800,000, and out of that, only $50,000 put aside for Milltown to use for some seemingly mysterious uses. Does Article 2025-121 speak to what is Milltown going to do about the water issue? And where is the $50,000 going to be used to fix the water issue here in Milltown?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
You said 2025-121?
Yes, that one was.
That's just a temporary, budget hold. It's a placeholder. So we have to keep doing that as a temporary until we adopt and, until we submit and adopt a budget in 2025, which again, is probably gonna be submitted, presented, second meeting in March, which is the 24th, and then gonna be adopted second meeting in April. You won't see appropriations of any kind there unless, as you get further down in the year, you have transfers or something that you may have budgeted higher, and you'll need some money in another account, and you'll transfer that. That's what that resolution is about.
Okay.
It's nothing to do with water and sewer,
Okay.
okay?
And to my other part, as far as the $50,000 roughly that has been put aside as looks like a capital outlay for Milltown, will any of that money or the money that extra money that New Brunswick is asking for going to be put aside to remedy or at least start to remedy the issue with the water issue here in Milltown?
The 50,000, where are you getting that from?
Yeah, so there's reports and articles put out by New Brunswick of about money that has been, about their increases and the roughly amounts of what basically their increases were. And based off of those reports, it was roughly about $450,000 for water and sewer, $800,000 for just water. And again, it looks like Milltown was given, at least set aside for capital outlayers, about $50,000. So again, just looking about what is at least being done, because we're talking about a little bit over like $1 million here.
But are you talking about New Brunswick's utilities budget?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that
We don't have it.
That's New Brunswick's utilities budget, that's not
But-
Milltown.
But we get
Or
water
we get
from
our
them.
water from them, and we pay them money to get water from them.
Okay.
So that $50,000 could be something that they need to do in order to supply Milltown with water under their agreement with the borough.
Understood.
That's internal to them.
So that, Milltown's budget for water and sewer is its own separate budget.
And so then I guess the question is, my last question, I don't want to take up too much time.
Sure, no problem, I just wanted to make
Is
sure we all understood.
where is then the money that we're pumping out going as far as remedying? Where is a little bit of transparency of the increase in the bills that we are paying going towards to at least start to remedy this issue? Is this supposed to be something that Milltown are supposed to live with? Constantly increase bills and then letters coming in mail about boiling our water? So just what is Milltown doing about that as far as we're giving the money, where is the expectation on the other end to start working on these issues?
Well, what I think was a good start last year, right, is when we finally passed the water and sewer rates, the new rates, is that we put into the ordinance, which had never been in the ordinance before, that you must always look at what New Brunswick Water and Sewer is charging you, and you make the determination there to raise the rates, whatever you need it to be, 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever it is. Hopefully, 0%, you know? But that's how you remedy that going forward, okay? We pay New Brunswick for water and for sewer. We already know that we have an outflow of water that we're paying for that isn't metered, whether it's the pool, whether it's infrastructure that's decaying and broken. We're charged for sewer on what our water is. Fair or not fair, that's what the agreement is. So I would think that moving forward, you're never gonna get hit with that sort of minimum again, the minimums that were raised back in June, because we're gonna be taking a look at that every year before we pass the budget, as opposed to just passing the budget and then having to hit everybody for like 25 or 30% a year or two later, so.
Okay, all right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hello. A lot of my questions were answered
Name and address, please.
previously. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Cheryl Christensen, 52 Riva Avenue.
Thank you.
The only thing that I have left on here, basically, is a lot of times I get a smell like rotten eggs. I have talked to a few people that have had the same problem, and they tell me there's a problem with the pump station with the filtering system. Is this something that's being worked on, or isn't it a problem? I mean, this is hearsay, so I don't know.
What I'd like to say is that pumping station works a hell of a lot. And it is repaired, maintained. It's an old pumping system.
So we have to do like what we do with the electric, eventually replace it.
Right. For those folks at home who don't understand that our sewer line is about 105 years old and probably needs to be replaced sooner rather than later, that will happen with some help from the county, the state, the federal government. We're sort of like on track to get something a couple of years ago, and that fell apart.
Well, I've been here 35 years, I've never had this problem.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure what was going on. One other, is New Brunswick water and Middlesex water the one and the same?
No, they're separate companies.
And do we take bids when we go out for bid for water? I mean, do we take bids or anything like that?
We've had a historical agreement with New Brunswick for the longest. Should we accept bids and go with another water provider going forward? It's been discussed. It's also been discussed whether we should sell the entire system. I think those are all great questions. The problem is, and again, maybe folks here don't know, is that the water utility has a debt load of about $20 million. So if you're going to sell the water and the utility services, make sure you get more than $20 million.
Wow.
You can't sell it for 15, because then $5 million is going to
Well-
be taken care of by somebody else.
I know that East Brunswick has Middlesex water. And their sewer is $80. And their water is $5.83 for 1,000. So it seemed like a lot cheaper to me.
Yep.
But I didn't know what was involved as far as, changing. I don't know I've never been involved in that, so I had no idea. But it just seemed to me that they were so much cheaper, why aren't we taking bids and doing something like that? But
Something that can happen moving forward, not out of the question, but it's got to be something to look at.
And on the other hand, that's about it. One thing, I have a two-family home.
Okay.
And now for years, we've had 2 meters. I finally applied for a permit to have 1 meter removed and just use 1 meter for the house. There's 2 people in the house. The last two quarters, we paid over $600 for our water and sewer. So now, I'm having 1 meter taken out, and we're just going to split it, but I didn't know you could do that previously. So,
I didn't know you could do that either.
I got my permit.
Make sure you talk to your tax assessor, too.
Well, why, what would that have to do with
Well,
it?
1 to 2 family, if you're going from 1 family to 2 family to 1, you may want to talk to your tax assessor. So you're not paying on it.
Okay, I shall do that. Thank you for putting up with me.
Anytime, no problem.
Anyone else?
Could I ask Mike a question?
Seeing,
I mean, this lady said, we don't have an inline filter in Elkins Lane, do we?
There are no filters at Elkins Lane, no.
Okay, so there is no break between us and New Brunswick. We just, whatever they put in, we get out.
That's right.
Okay.
Kevin Hall, 157 Washington Ave.
Can you just say that to the microphone, sorry?
Kevin Hall, 157 Washington Ave. So is it my understanding that the 2 bills that I previously paid, the 2 quarters, upwards of 600 some odd, the minimum payment is 600 plus, which is ridiculous. Now the bill is going to be lowered.
Yep.
Now, when we talked in November, which I was here for, they said it was going to be a one-time payment for that last quarter. Now, how do I get 2 bills out of that? Am I not hearing it right or understanding correctly?
Well, in November, the new water rates weren't passed yet. The new water rates weren't passed until the second meeting in December, which I think it was like the 23rd of December.
December, I received a bill for $319, which was the minimum.
Yes, and so it
February.
depends on where you are, what cycle you're in. So what I want to say is everyone should get 2 bills, not 3, only 2. Because the way you catch up around.
You're talking about 2 bills, 2 big bills with this new
Yes,
rate?
with the higher minimums. With the higher- So if you've gotten 2, you should be fine, because then your next bill, wherever you are in the cycle, will be in the new rates that go into effect April 1st.
All right. Now, how much of the difference is the new rate in comparison to
I
this
couldn't
right
tell
now?
you that off the top of my head, but lower, much lower.
Much lower?
Yeah, yeah.
Or are we talking 100%, 50%?
No, not 100%, no. Obviously not, no. I wish, but no.
But you've run the numbers before, so you have looked at them?
We all ran the numbers last year, and that's why it took so long to come to an agreement. I wasn't a fan of raising minimums. I understood that we had to fill a budget gap.
Well, now that I hear you have a $20 million deficit in the water department, kind of
Debt.
adds up.
It's debt, it's not deficit, it's debt.
Oh, excuse me. No, that's all I have. Thank you.
Would you like a copy of the ordinance also tonight? Would you like a copy of the ordinance with the rates on? Okay.
Rosa Tavares, 100 Riva Avenue. So I'd like to just clarify, it's a $20 million debt, not deficit?
Debt.
Debt. So okay, so how did we get to that?
Many, many years of,
So, I mean, what does the debt consist of? Is it property that we own? Is it,
again, just debt that's been built up over the last 35, 40 years. This didn't happen like 5 years ago. This is going back 35, 40 years ago. So there's always been discussions about selling the water and the sewer utility.
I would imagine that that's
I think
something that makes it difficult to sell. Who wants to take on a
Well,
$20 million debt?
It's not even that it's a difficult thing to do. If you're going to do it, right, just make sure that whatever debt you have gets cleared. Because if you have $20 million of debt and you only get $15 million for that debt, $5 million's got to come from somewhere. Guess where that $5 million's coming from? Us.
Right.
And then you don't own the utility anymore.
But you still have to pay that debt.
You'll be great for like a year or two, and then the rates will go up. So there's a pro and a con. There's a good reason to do it. There's not a good reason to do it. One, you're not going to have any control over it, right? Anybody that works in this borough in the water and sewer utility probably won't have a job. On the plus side is any of the infrastructure projects that need to be taken care of, within the next 7 years, right? By DEP and the state that says you got to replace your water line, your main, and do this, all that. They could probably take care of that. They'll charge you for it down the road at some point, but they could probably take care of that, yes.
So I don't want to speak for anyone here, but I know my frustration, and perhaps a lot of people's frustration, is not just the increase in the water rates, but also the quality of water. That's another issue. But, so I think we can safely expect that our water bills will go up at least 3% every year, because that's what New Brunswick is going to increase our rates by, right? So the question then becomes, okay, inflation is here to stay. We see it everywhere. When we go to the grocery store, it's there. Okay, so we're going to get hit with it in water and sewer as well. But if our bill next year increases by 15% or 20%, then the question becomes, what are we, the residents, paying for other than the increase in the water rates, right? Because when this whole debate started to happen, a lot of the things I heard here was salaries have gone up, rightfully so. Health benefits for employees have gone up, rightfully so. So I think the bigger question is, if we, the residents, are willing to pay for the increase in the rates, because that's what you guys are all being charged, what is the town doing about the additional 10 or 15%? Like, are there cuts being made? Are there other ways of getting funds so that those increases of 10, 15% don't all rest on the backs of the residents? I mean, I think it's fair, we're burdened with taxes, with water increase water rate increases. So, I mean, that would be something that I would ask for the council to look at, is sort of, you know, as this time goes on into the next year. Next year, we're going to have another 3% increase, at least, that's the minimum. Okay, but if it becomes a 10, a 15% increase, why? Because then that means that there aren't other sources of income coming in, and then why? Because then we're really in trouble, right? Like, how did we get to $20 million in debt? That didn't happen overnight. That didn't happen in the last 5 years. It probably didn't happen in the last 10 years.
No.
So who's watching? Like,
It's a good question.
Let me try to explain it. We're under a 6-year contract with New Brunswick till, I think, like, what is it, 2029, Phil?
Something
That
like
the rates won't go beyond 3% per year. After that, you know, we don't know what's going to happen.
no, I understand, but I'm saying,
So-
like, I'm okay with paying an additional 3% next year.
Right.
But if my rate goes up by 15, 20%, I'm going to be asking questions, because then
Right.
what am I paying for?
The rates hadn't risen in, what, 5 years, 6 years?
Microphone, please.
Which is why there was that huge jump, and we're not in that position right now. So if
Okay.
it goes up 3%, it should only be 3% per year for the rest of the
That's
for
what
the
I'm hoping
duration.
for, because if
Yes.
it's 10% or 15%, I'll be asking questions.
No, it shouldn't happen.
As I mentioned earlier, so the fact that it's in the ordinance now, it never was in the ordinance
Right.
before, okay?
Okay.
It's in the ordinance now, so as we're going through the budget right now, we're looking at all the water and sewer, right? If it has to go up 3%, it'll go up 3%. Before that wasn't in the ordinance, they say, you know what? We want to make sure that we take care of the residents in town. We don't want to burden them with any additional expenses, so guess what? It didn't go up. 2 or 3 years later, if you don't do it,
Yep.
it goes up 10 or 12 or 15.
Yep, 3% is more,
Smart to put it in the ordinance. 3%, I think everyone can live with 3%. They can't live with 10 or 15.
3% is much more palatable than 10%. The other question I have is about the lead water main situation. Do we have a map or an idea of how many homes that impacts? Or is that part of what's being identified in the process of?
So, Lou, that's a second part. This isn't just a smart meter replacement, it's a,
Yeah, so as they replace the meters, they're checking the piping to look for lead or galvanized piping in the homes.
I know that that's what's happening. I think it would have been very wise to be very transparent with the residents about that, because I believe that part of the reason that many people were not signing up to have their meters replaced is because they were afraid of what would happen if somebody came in and said, oh, by the way, now you have this other problem that you need to pay for. So I've had this conversation with, is it Tom from the water department? And he was very honest when I said, you know, when you were on my street, changing all the pipes on the street, that would have been the time to identify which homes had lead service pipes and to do it then. Wasn't a thing then. It wasn't a thing then because we didn't have a Safe Water Drinking Act in the state of New Jersey yet. Now we do. That's why this is an issue. So I think it's wonderful that all these lead service pipes will be changed, but it really should not be, again, on the back of residents. I understand that something that goes from the street to the house maybe is the responsibility of the homeowner, but is it really? So I'm responsible for making sure that my sidewalks are free of snow and ice. Why? Because that's a public safety issue. Somebody can fall and hurt themselves. If I have a tree in front of my home that buckles the sidewalk, I'm responsible for fixing that. Why? That's a public safety issue. If I have a lead service line, that is water that is going into my home. That is not a public safety issue. And with all due respect, if I choose to drink lead water, that's on me. Now, all of a sudden, the state has said, oh, that's an issue, we have to fix it. And then in turn, municipalities say, oh, we have to fix this. And then municipalities who can't afford it say, no, the homeowners have to pay for it. It's not fair. You know, it's too much. Like, where does it end? This is clearly an infrastructure issue. What's the next thing? There's a pothole in front of my house and I'm going to be responsible for fixing that?
well, no.
But this is an infrastructure issue.
Yep.
It is not a homeowner issue. Has nothing to do with public safety. That's my opinion, and I know it's been said here that there aren't public funds available because we don't meet the median requirement. I'm on it. I've made calls to the state. I will get as much information as I can, and I'll pass it along, because I just don't think that this should be something that residents are going to be forced to have to do. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to close council comments, or public comments. Does any council member have anything they'd like to bring up at this time?
Sure. This has been a long time, but I'm going to bring this up. It's regarding St. Paul's. The term justice delayed is justice denied. Describes a situation long forgotten here, but not by me. Residents came forward early last year asking for our help repeatedly for an intolerable, disrespectful situation occurring in town. There's been no resolution, and I expect none. I do not expect the will of the patient people to be upheld. Now, I have a question for Mr. Vignola. Do you have any updates on the St. Paul situation? I asked many months ago, and I hadn't heard anything, and you'd be aware because I'm not.
My understanding is that that matter is still pending before the municipal court. As you may or may not know, the municipal prosecutor for the borough has taken a position as a municipal court judge in New Brunswick, and therefore we did need to obtain new prosecutorial services. I believe that led to some delay in the ultimate, consideration of the matter. I also know that the church did retain counsel, and they were undergoing discovery of some information regarding the underlying violations, as well as the historic use of the property. For last I heard, there was a hearing date set. I am not monitoring it, but I can find out answers to questions you want answers to.
All right, thank you very much.
Of course.
I'd just like to thank Monica for bailing us out and coming back and helping us out, so we really need you, Monica.
You're very welcome.
Mr. Mayor, just to let you know, I will not be physically present here at the next meeting. So I'll just put it on the record.
Not at all, right? Not by phone either?
Not physically. We'll see what happens. I may have to call him.
Okay.
I won't physically be here, but unless you put a cardboard cover.
I mean, I can get one of those.
That'd be good.
I could put the skeleton.
There you go, put the skeleton.
Is that it? Okay. Close council comments. My comments, I only had one comment. We wanted to just reiterate on the selling of the water. One thing we have to keep in mind, because of the agreement with New Brunswick, because we do have our sewer going there, the agreement is we can't purchase water from, say, American Water or tap into East Brunswick or North Brunswick, because our sewer goes to New Brunswick. That's part of the agreements that are in place that were put long before any of us were here. So that's one thing that is kind of has us tied up with, we have no place for the sewer to go. So we're kind of stuck right now until we figure out how to address that issue. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Collins, seconded by Councilman Potter. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.